Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sam. I'm an artist, illustrator and an aspiring knitting designer coming to you from a very sunny Dublin in Ireland. You can find me all around the internet looking for Irish farm art or on my spanky, fancy new Instagram profile, an Irish knitting podcast. I have an Etsy shop in which I sell original artworks, a Ravelry store where you can find all my patterns, and what else? Oh, a coffee account, and I would like to thank all of the people that decided to support me on Ko-fi. It really means a lot. When I opened it, it was just like, well, everybody have a coffee account, so let's see how it works. And I wasn't expecting any generosity at all, but yeah, it does mean a lot. Also because currently I'm in the process of looking for a new computer. Mine is about 10 years old and I can't get the software updates anymore, so your support on Ko-fi helps me to support this channel, and a new computer means better videos, so all of that. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about that. This is my knitting podcast situation. It's my bi-weekly artistic crafty outlet in which I try to show you what my artistic progress are, my projects, my knitting, my crafts, my paintings, all of that. And thank you so much for coming today. I really hope you have a lovely time, your cup of tea, your coffee, your knitting, crochet, embroidery, your artworks, your craft, and let's get started. Today it's very packed. I haven't been filming for a couple of weeks. It's been super busy. From finally getting my Irish citizenship and having to go to the other side of Ireland to attend the citizenship ceremony. Then we got the Pride celebrations going on in Ireland, so that was another thing. I'm involved in a couple of charity, LGBTQ charities, so helping that. And what else? Yeah, packing, because after I film this video and I upload this video, I'm flying to Vienna. So yeah, I'm going to tell you all about these adventures during the podcast, and as well at the end of the podcast we will draw the winners for the knit-along, the Rainbow KAL 23 that I've been hosting in support of LGBTQA+ rights. Without any further ado, let's start with the finished works. And I only have one today, but it's a big one. Let me grab it for you. So here it is. It's currently super wet. I just cast it off, soak it and lay it flat to block, but I really wanted to show you. This is the jacket number 20 by Lang Yarns. It's a beautiful zipper top jacket. I'm not going to wear it. Actually, I better put it back down on the mat, but I'm gonna put a rollover video, is it called, to show you all the details of this jacket. So back on the blocking mat, I really didn't want to stretch it more than it's actually stretched already. It's a pattern from Lang Yarn. Lang Yarn is a Swiss yarn company that sells as well wonderful patterns. And I would like to make a point here, because I have never heard of any podcasters talking about Lang pattern. I know the Sarah from It's a Sarah podcast used to work for Lang in their advertisement department or taking pictures for long yarns. But that was basically it. I have never heard of people using a lot of long yarns, or especially using their patterns. But I was looking for a cardigan to knit. I always had this thing of knitting a cardigan, and in my past experience I didn't really have much success with the cardigans. So Lang came up, and turned out the website is full of wonderful patterns. They are quite cheap as well, and they're just beautiful, especially for men. The array of jackets and cardigans that they have is brilliant, and I bought a couple of those, and I really want to make them all. Their patterns tend to be a little brief, so you need to know quite a bit of what you're doing. If you're used to Scandinavian patterns, for example, Sandnesgarn, Rauma, those type of patterns, it's more or less the same thing. They give you just the recipe, and then you're supposed to know a lot. This cardigan specifically is knitted in pieces, so you need the back, the two fronts and the sleeves, and then you sew everything together. Then you knit the collar piece, the facing bands for the zipper, and then you set in the zipper. I think that's it. I loved it. I'm always afraid of knitting stuff in pieces. I'm not really good at sewing, but I checked a few tutorials before starting the process, as well as some finishing books that I got from my tech editing course, and it was coming together like magic. The stitch count on every single piece was absolutely perfect, and everything matched just by magic. So I'm super happy with that. I've learned quite a bit from this cardigan. First of all, how to make pockets. The pattern doesn't really tell you much. It's very brief in the pocket construction situation, so I had to Google it, how to do pockets, and I've seen a couple of YouTube videos, and then I winged it. But the first pocket was this exercise of learning how to make a pocket. The second pocket, I basically took everything that I learned from the internet, from my books, and then I look at the pattern, and actually came to me like magic. I think the patterns tells you everything if you have the experience, so it takes a bit of experience. The next thing that I learned is the little facing for the zipper. It's basically a couple of rounds and cast off in a technique that is absolutely brilliant. Basically, you put a pearl bump in front of the zipper teeth, and that basically makes a invisible zipper, is it called? Something like that. I need to reset the zipper in. I sew it in by hand. I'm happy, not happy, I don't know about that. It looks a little bit messy now that I'm looking at the zipper on the jumper, but it's still wet. I really hope with drying the yarn, the wool plumps up a little bit, so brings everything together. Modification that I did. Well, first of all, this is not a modification, but it's a problem. I couldn't find a zipper long enough for the length of the cardigan, so I bought the longest that I could find locally, and it has about 5 centimeters on the top and 2 on the bottom that is not covered. So I probably need to go online and find a longer zipper, or make do with what I have. The second modification is the sleeves. This cardigan took me so long. I don't know if it's because I'm slow at purling, if it's because I was really busy, but usually I make a jumper in, I don't know, 3 week time, a month top, especially if it's made in DK wool, and we'll come to the wool that I use for the jumper very soon. But this took me forever. So for the sleeves, I decided to knit them in the round rather than flat, and just sew them on the bottom. I thought that would have been faster as a process and wasn't really long at all. But at the end, a couple of days ago, I was just fed up with the old jumper lying there and seeing that jumper all of the time, that I just powered on and knitted the 2 sleeves in a day and a half. Then sew everything in, and that was it, basically. So the full jumper took me about 2 months from the beginning, and the 2 sleeves took me 2 days to get together. So yeah, interesting. And as a learning point as well, I would never ever sew a garment together or set a zipper or do anything that is more than stocking stitch at night time. I was so tired, it was like past midnight when I finished it, and yeah, you can tell that the work is not perfect when you do that and when you're very tired and when it's very late. So, a reminder to myself. Yarn wise, I used Drops Lima, which is a combination of wool and alpaca fiber. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite yarns for the thing that is not itchy to my skin. It feels like a super wash yarn without being super wash. I don't know if it's the alpaca or if it's the way they work this yarn, but it's just quite sleek and nice, fluffy, warm. I used it over and over and over again. It's a DK yarn, so it was perfect for this project, and I had a few bows in starch, a few more. I got them. It's extraordinarily cheap as well. Is it the best yarn for the garment? I don't think so. Being a jacket and having a zipper, it probably requires a more sturdy and bouncy yarn. A alpaca heavy yarn, it's really drapey, and I can tell, even if the jacket is soaking wet now, but I can tell that it tends to stretch and pull down quite a bit. So if I go back, I would definitely knit with a loftier, more woolly yarn rather than something that mimics a superwash yarn. Having said that, I don't mind if it's a little bit oversized, if it's long. I'm going to use this in the house. It's going to be a pro overcoat for the very long, very cold Irish winters. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. And once again, I warmly recommend Lang patterns. I think they are a great find, especially for male knitting. I know that it's always difficult to find man-specific patterns, but yeah, this is one of those. Now, let's start with the works in progress. I think I've never had so many cast-ons in my knitting career, if I can say. After this Lang jacket number 20 was done, I felt sort of liberated, and I really wanted to cast on everything that I've been looking for a while, or patterns that I had in my library, patterns that I printed out that I really wanted. And yeah, so I just casted on everything, and you will see that some of the works are just started. I started one while I was waiting for my camera battery to charge this morning, so you will see just a bit of rigging, but It feels so good to be able to custom whatever you want, and yeah, let's start with the first one. And I'm going like time-wise from the older casted on to the newest. So we got a pair of socks, and I'm seeing these socks everywhere in the internet right now. I'm not really following much of the Instagram slash what you call it, trends in knitting. I lost 2 stitches, happy days. Right, yeah, hopefully everything is fine. Anyway, yeah, I've seen this all over the internet. I'm not following much of the Instagram or knitting trends, but these are the painted bricks socks by Stephen West. I have seen someone casted this on for my Rainbow KAL 23, and I fell in love with them. I was like, this is it. This is the pattern, the sock pattern that I'm going to make over and over again. They are super beautiful, super textured, and yeah, they look extraordinarily nice. It's an interesting color work pattern, although there's not much color work. It's basically rounds in different colors that are worked together quite nicely to make this situation here. I have decided to use scrap yarn that I have in my stash and the 2 colors of Drops Fable, this lovely phthalo green and a rusty orange. I thought it was a great idea. Turned out it looks like the scales of a crocodile, but it's just to try the pattern, and I have the pattern. I'm sure I'm gonna make a lot of them because they are absolutely beautiful. Super quick to knit. I only have a leg just because this frenzy of casting of everything just got me a little bit, but yeah, I warmly recommend the pattern there. I think there is a sort of knit along going on with Stephen West as well in these patterns. I don't know about that. I should have done some research, but I am going to figure it out eventually. If I can enter a knit along, that would be great. I so seldom do that, and I always want to start something with a knitting community. Yeah, that would be it. So far, the only modification that I made on the sock is the ribbing. Calls for, I don't know if I can say that, but calls for a different ribbing here. I decided to use my 2x2 tubular cast on and just make a 2x2 ribbing situation. Works out well. And I think I'm gonna change the heel as well. The heel that the pattern uses, it's a very long heel flap and gusset, which is good, but in my opinion doesn't look too well on the pattern itself. I would like a shorter heel flap and gusset and then continue with this gorgeous scales or bricks pattern. I think that will look much nicer. Now I have to tell you a secret, because we all want to support designers, and I am trying to become a designer myself. I have a few patterns on Ravelry and I always appreciate the support. But if you're like me and are on the cheap side and you happen to have this book here, and you happen to know how to make socks, and you happen by chance to open your book at page 221 and look at the chart 660, well, that is the secret. So if you have the Japanese knitting and crochet stitches dictionary, just have a look. There may be a way to save some money and get basically the pattern. this is just a secret. Once again, I want to support Stephen West, and I always want to support creators, designers. But sometimes happen that you don't have the possibilities to support the designers, and you may have something in your library, you may have something in your computer files, you may have a knitting book. I'm sure I've seen the same pattern on other Stitches dictionaries, like the Vogue one. Just didn't grab it, I don't know why, but yeah, here we go. So that is my first work in progress. I always like to have a small project, a sock, a pair of gloves, a pair of mittens on the go. Relaxes me, and I know that if I'm traveling I have something to do, and yeah, that is the first one. Second one is this one. I don't know if you can see with the cover, but I'm a very old person, so I like to print out my pattern and keep them in little plastic covers. This is the Billy cardigan by Sari Nordland, and everybody, their dogs have knitted this. It's a gorgeous pattern. So first of all, how comes up that I want to knit another cable jumper, cable sweater, iron looking jumper? Well, first of all, I was blessed with receiving Irish citizenship last week, or 2 weeks ago now. We went, people that applied to become Irish, get the naturalization, were asked to go to Killarney, which is at the other side of the country. If you know where Dublin is, or if you have an image of Ireland from one side to the other side, it's a beautiful town, extraordinarily popular. I'm sure if you know about Ireland, you know probably more about Killarney than Dublin itself. But it's gorgeous, gorgeous scenery around there. We ended up visiting the Killarney National Park, which is absolutely beautiful. It's a giant park that was one time part of the British estate. It was owned by some lords, eventually ended up in the hands of the Guinness family, which eventually ended up in the hands of some American family that donated it to the Irish people. And yeah, it's just absolutely stunning. I've so seldom seen something that beautiful. It's just green, spacious. There's a massive lake in the middle. You can boat ride, you can horse ride, take a carriage. There's a functioning old farm going on there. We visited the old mansion house. It was just the most beautiful day that could actually bring together my citizenship ceremony. This injection of Irishness was just gorgeous. The farmy thing was a little bit like being back home, so paining to see a couple of animals and a couple of old rusty farm thingy was really great, but it was nice to see. And if you come from a city, if you haven't experienced a farm life, that is a great possibility to see some farm equipment, some old way to do stuff, people making butter, people spinning wool, people making soda bread, all lovely, lovely things. Then the day after, I attended the ceremony. It was really, really emotional. They played a lot of Irish music. There was Minister Harris there that conferred the citizenship, and we all had to stand up and swear our fidelity to the country, which I found it really, really emotional. The room was full of people for all around the world, and if I have to picture something or a memory that will stay with me, it's just the color of that room, and the happiness of that room was just amazing. Every single culture came in to become Irish. I found that fascinating, beautiful, and yeah, just really, really emotional. It was great to see the happiness of the people, because it's something that I didn't really realize that was so deeply important for people. I face my Irish citizenship and my becoming Irish as a cultural thing. I moved to Ireland for the love of the country, for the love of Irish culture. I've always been interested in the Irish music, so I wanted to be part of the cultural side of Ireland and the political side as well. I would like to vote to help make my decision, my people's decision, I can say, and become properly Irish. But for a lot of people, having Irish citizenship means having an Irish passport, being able to stay in the country, bring the families in the country. And people can come from very different way of lives and countries, very poor countries perhaps, or where life is not safe and so on and so forth. And this struck me when I was driving back home and I was wearing my Irish flag pin. They give you a little pin to put on during the ceremony with the Irish tricolour. And a guy stopped me at the petrol station and was like, "Congratulations, we are very proud of you." And yeah, that really means a lot. He just recognized the pin. It was like, oh, this guy was at the ceremony. So yeah, that was it. So all of this to say that I got an injection of Irishness and I cast down all cables. And this Billy pullover here is a good Aran imitation jumper that I can pull, I can make in no time at all. I am quite familiar with Surrey's Northland pattern construction, and I think this will be a great pattern to work on. The other thing that brought me to this sweater here is a Netflix show. Have you watched Bad Sisters? Well, in that show, I will put a picture if I can find any. The main character, one of the sisters, she is constantly wearing what I suppose is this sweater here, in a very green, very beautiful color. And watching the show, it's a very nice show. It's a very uncomfortable show. Watching the show was like, oh, I really like the sweater. I really like the jumper. It's really beautiful looking. I should try to figure out where it come from. And then I was browsing Ravelry, and the Billy pullover came, and here it is. Anyway, let me show you the actual cast on, and I'll talk about the yarn that I'm using. So this is the situation here. So you cast on from the top down. It's not my favorite way of constructing a jumper, but it works, so happy days. And you cast on the back first, then you cast on new stitches for the front, and then going down with all the cables. I have 2 pair of needles on this because I wasn't really happy with the starting of the neck, my original cast on. So I was like, before I go any further, I want to see if picking up the stitches for the collar will make the situation better, and otherwise I can just start again. And the situation is actually solved. It was just a little bit messy, but picking up the stitches actually worked very, very well. Now, the pattern tells you, I don't think I'm revealing anything of the pattern is for sale, so I need to be quite careful, but tells you for the collar ribbing to pick up and knit a number of stitches. Now, because I am impatient, let's say, I've never in my life, in my history as a knitter, looked at pick up and knit tutorials. I've always pick up and knit a stitch, which is basically what I was doing before, was picking up and knitting and knitting. So knitting twice. I thought that picking up was picking up the yarn, passing through the fabric and putting on your needles, but apparently that is pick up and knit together. I don't know if it does make any sense, but I've been doing jumpers wrong all the time because of this pick up and knit situation. I was picking up and knitting twice, thinking that it was just a pick up and knit, and then everything didn't really look nice. So in this case, it was like, okay, I'm not going to wing it. I'm gonna follow the pattern religiously and look at the tutorial. So I found a very pink knitting tutorial, and the pick up and knit is actually what I was doing before, when I was just picking up stitches. God knows what I thought. Anyway, it's just very beautiful. For the yarn that I'm using this yarn here, which is this one. You've seen this before. It's a Sunness Garn per Gint. The color number is 2720, or it's called Nougat Tutti Frutti. You know, I'm obsessed with this yarn. You know the saga of finding more of this yarn. Now I have 13 balls of yarns. These are 90 meters by 50 grams, if I'm right. It's a DK situation. Pure Norwegian wool with beautiful, colorful specks of color. And yeah, I got all of this yarn in my stash, and I was there waiting for a new jumper to be made. And I think this actually works very nice. There's not much happening yet, but the cables, this kind of honeycomb pattern, is actually coming out quite nicely, and I think it will be a great job. For reference, I am knitting the third size in the situation. So that was the Billy pullover by Sari Northland, and I'm trying to keep track of what I'm talking about because it's just a mess. Now, while I was looking at the Billy pullover, I came across this jumper here. This is the 7 jumper by Megan Babin. Once again, very famous pattern. A lot of projects, a lot of podcasters have talked about the pattern, and I read through the comments. Everyone was highly recommending this pattern. It's knitted in pieces, which was like, do I really want to knit something in pieces again? I just cast it off the jacket thing. It's not my favorite way to knit. But I couldn't resist because everybody were really recommending the patterns, even on Instagram, just craziness. So I made a stretch, I decided to purchase the pattern, and I casted this on right before filming this video, hence you will only see a teeny tiny bit of knitting if I find it. Weirdly enough, the pattern starts with the sleeve cast on, which is fine. I mean, I usually knit the body first and the sleeve later, but this probably will be the case that I am not in the sleeve island for a long time, so here it is. I have started with a tubular cast on, first time ever, and the pattern tells you how to make tubular very well, very easily, very easy to follow. And I suppose the pattern will be very well written when it comes to finishing and sewing everything on as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sniffing the yarn because look what we got. We got Loppy yarn. This is Let Loppy by Istex. I got this yarn many months ago from a local yarn shop, Winnie yarn store, something like that, Winnie Cafe I think it's called. And I found the Loppy yarn is actually quite on the cheap side. It's a really nice wool, and yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, what I wanted to make, but I bought like 15 balls of this Loppy. I will probably need more for the jumper, but yeah, it's a start. This is a commercial yarn, so I can find the same color, and even if the dye-lot changes, I don't think it will be crazy. The color here is 9420. It's a very dark blue. This yarn rested in my stash for a long time. It was a time to bring it out and to cast on something. Now, it's the first time that I knit with Loppy, and I've read a lot about Loppy yarn, how scratchy it is, how difficult it is to knit. On the difficulty side, I think it's true. For this tiny piece of ribbing, we are about 3-4 centimeters of ribbing. I felt my hands a little bit sore. But for the scratchiness side, I mean, it's rough, but it's not itchy. Which make me think that I must have something going on with my skin. You see, I find more itchy Peer Gynt, which is just a regular wool, than the Loppy yarn. I don't know. I'm probably mad. It's craziness. It's the heat. I don't know. But I don't find this scratchy at all. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Just started this morning. It's beautifully cabled. Let's see if I can find a photo here. Actually, you know what? Because there's no pictures, I'm gonna put a photo of the jumper on here, so you can see it. It's just gorgeous, beautiful cable sweater, and this is actually a proper iron jumper, if I can say that. So I will have that going on as well. Bit afraid about the wool being super tight, and what else? Yeah, being dark blue. I don't know. I never knitted with such a dark color ever. Anyway, on to the next. The next one comes from the Rauma Garn book. This is 2019 number 312. You can find it easily in that magic website that I was telling you about, the French one, which is called Laine et Tricot or something like that. Anyway, what am I making out of this? Let me find the picture. This is the jumper that I am making. This is called Snoeverwadgenser. Is there an English translation? There's no English translation. I'm going to put the name of the jumper here, but every project that I'm showing is linked in my description as well. So it's a jumper knitted from the bottom and up, and it is knitted with this beautiful kind of, it's not cable, it's like a texture, like a diamond shaped texture, which reminds me of the Argyle jumper, classic interlocking diamonds or rhomboid shapes, and it's quite gorgeous looking on the pattern. Now let's bring it out. I'm keeping this in beautiful bag, shoe bag. I think this is from the North Face, and I got this with my duffel bag. I recorded like a sort of a review of that, and this is the project. Now this is a lot of work. I'm sure Ruth from the Ruth Love to Knit podcast will enjoy this colorful situation. Took me a lot of work. This is this yarn here is Jameson's of Shetland Spindrift yarn. It's a jumper weight 2-ply yarn, which comes in very small 20-gram balls. Now I can't tell you the meterage because I don't have the label anymore, but this entire ball here is about 600 grams of yarn, and this is an Unravel So Basic Sweater by Maxim Sear, or Max the Knitter. I knitted a sweater, and I think I am the only person on earth that knows how to knit that wasn't able to get a decent product out of one of Maxim Sear pattern. The jumper looks absolutely awful. It's probably due to the yarn being extraordinarily toothy. I don't know if you can see from this one as well. It's not really neat. Doesn't produce a neat. What a weird situation. But I'm hoping that with blocking this will be resolved a little bit. I was very less experienced as well when I knitted a Max pattern, and probably that was why this wasn't coming together. So I knitted the full jumper. It was big, was slouchy, was not very good looking, so I unraveled everything, and I got this massive ball of yarn that has been going from a bag of yarn to another bag of yarn to another. At some point I thought, I'm just going to throw this away. I don't want to see it. I hate knitting with it, and yeah, there's no time for me in the world to knit this up. But then I found this Rauma pattern here, and there are some similarities between this yarn and Rauma's Finu yarn, which is the yarn that is recommended for this pattern. First of all, the toothiness of the wool is similar. Now, this is much thinner than Rauma Finu, formerly PT2. So I had to make some adjustment to the pattern. I went up a size, and I went up a needle size as well. Now I'm knitting with very fine 2.5 millimeter needles. Sorry, I went down a needle size. 2.5 millimeter needles. It's coming together so much better than I ever thought. This was the last chance I gave to this yarn. If this doesn't work, this yarn is going to become a throw. It's going to be part of my blanket crocheting thing, and I don't even care. It's just really, really annoying. Would I buy this again? I don't think so. This made me actually fell off love with the James's yarn or the Shetland wool type of thing. Is just too coarse and doesn't come together. If I have to knit with a coarse yarn, I would definitely go with the the Danish, was the name of the Danish yarn, the super soft wool. Oh, I have a blank. I don't remember. Those cones of yarn that I love very, very much. It's tutti, but when you wash it, it comes together beautifully. This didn't happen to me with my last knit, so we'll see. But it's coming along. I mean, it's a lot of hours of knitting. It's very slow. We'll see how it goes. So that was it for new custom. We have 3 jumpers on the go and a pair of socks. It's not that much, but to me it feels like it's an immense amount of knitting. On the top of that I have my blanket that, to be fair, I didn't work on at all. So let's wrap up this podcast. I have to make myself another cup of tea because it was a lot of speaking, and I'm making the point now to drink tea more. As I'm Irish, tea is the national drink type of thing, apart from Guinness, but I never drank too much tea, and yeah, I'm making that point. Hopefully will mean that I am not drinking as many coffees a day as I used to, and it's healthier and all of that. But anyway, let's talk about the knit along. So the knit along was titled the Rainbow KAL 23, and I started it in support of LGBTQA plus rights. I asked you guys to knit up something in the pride colors, meaning the pride flag, the rainbow flag, or any of the LGBTQA plus flags color. And the response that I got was just fantastic. So many projects on Instagram, on Ravelry. Someone contacted me via email, sending me photos of their work. It was just mind-blowing. I tried to share as much as I could on my Instagram or on Ravelry, on here. It was mind-blowing. I didn't think that such a small channel like mine could really make an impact. And if nothing else, I really hope that raised a little bit of awareness, because it's not just my followers that saw you knitting something to support LGBT rights, but your followers as well, and the followers of your followers. If you share a story, like it's amazing how big of a spread this can be, or this became. And I'm really happy, and I want to thank you all for the great support. So a little bit of my Pride celebrations here in Ireland. Was a brilliant Saturday, was last Saturday. It's been raining all week, and Saturday was a beautiful summer day with gorgeous sun. It was fresh but still nice and bright, no rain at all, so we were absolutely blessed. I went to see the Pride Parade. Usually I march the parade with my work, usually, or I support some LGBT charities, so I marched with them, but this year I just wanted to get the full experience from outside, so I decided just to go and see the parade. We went on the quays of the Liffey River, and we watched a good chunk of the parade. That was absolutely beautiful. So many people, so many families, so many even older people just marching the parade and being super happy. It was a spree of joy that I really rarely see. We should have a Pride Parade every month just to shut down the bleakness of the news and what horrible things are going on in the world. Anyway, there was someone mentioned that they were very scared of this year parade, because even here in Ireland there's been a big talk about anti-transgender, anti-LGBT rights. It's in the news, it's on Twitter. There are these movements coming up, far-right movements, that are not really funny at all and can be dangerous. So there was this general fear in the parade that something would happen, that someone would make a scene, that someone would try to stop the parade or would do something. But really nothing happened, and it was absolutely flawless. And someone actually mentioned that they were afraid of this, and the fact that there were so many people watching the parade, supporting the parade, and the fact that the parade was the biggest yet that happened in Dublin. There were the biggest number of people ever in the years, and the attendance was the biggest ever since it started 20 years ago, more probably. Because of all these people, nothing could have happened, because even if something happened, all these wonderful supporters would have rallied against those horrible far-right people. Anyway, just a note there. After watching the parade, we went into Temple Bar, which is a lovely neighborhood of Dublin, had some drinks there, then into a club for some more drinks, and then we ended up the night at a concert. The Saturdays were playing some local drag queens, and it was absolutely wonderful. A lot of music. It wasn't really crowded. I think they managed the crowd very well. Everywhere I went was just lovely. You could just hang around, have a chat, dance, have a drink, but I didn't see any scene of people drunk or messing around, or anything was really too crowded. So it was great. Anyway, KAL-wise, I have been blessed with people donating prizes, and so because of this abundance of prizes, I ended up deciding on drawing 3 people as winners. So because I didn't close the venues to Instagram, Ravelry, or Facebook or any other thing, but was open to every venue in which I could be made aware of you needing something pridey. So I put all the projects, all the tags together in one big spreadsheet. And then with a random number generating system, I pick 3 winners. So the first winner will get this lovely skein of Studio Donegal Darny yarn. This is a Irish made yarn. It's 2-ply, 400 meters by 100 grams. This will not be able to make you a jumper, but for sure this will be able to get you a nice scarf, a shawl, or use this as a combination in a color work or something like that. This will be easy to find, though. If you want to get more of this color, of other colors, it's quite easy to find all around Europe. And the winner for this prize, behold, it's Claudia Hase on Ravelry and on Instagram. Claudia knitted a beautiful pair of colorful rainbowy socks that I unfortunately am not going to share here because I haven't asked permissions. I'm filming this in a sort of impromptu. I wanted to close the KAL and I'm flying in a couple of hours. So Claudia, if you please reach out to me and send me a message on Instagram, or on my email address irishfarmart.com, I will be asking you to get me an address or your details to receive this yarn here. So once again, Claudia Hasse, I don't know if it's pronounced right, but it's here. Second prize. Second prize, it's a wonderful, wonderful, generous prize from Suzanne from the Wild Cottage podcast here in Ireland. I got emotional about this prize because it's so generous, but I'm going to let Suzanne talk about the prize a little bit. And I asked her to send me a little video, and here she is.
Hello from Wild Cottage. I'm Susan and I'm here with my best buddy Sheppy, and we want to wish you happy Pride Month and to let you know about the prizes we're donating for Sam's Rainbow KAL knit along. I just finished one of mine. I still haven't woven in ends. One of my makes. I have decided what I would do for the prize. I would get a gift certificate for you from one of my favorite dyers over in Europe. It's Ross of the Wee Yarn Company, and he is also a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, so it seems really fitting. So you'll get a €30 gift certificate from the Wee Yarn Company, so that should buy you a skein of yarn plus cover your shipping. And so you get to choose whatever you want, and yeah, you'll get a €30 gift certificate. It's going to be very tempting. He's got so many beautiful yarns. So good luck to everyone who's entering, and happy Pride Month.
So the winner for this wonderful prize will be Sandy Carmichael on Instagram. Sandy Carmichael, put the name here. This is she made a wonderful project, a little dinosaur dragon type of thing in the pride color. Is absolutely beautiful, made me smile every time Sandy shared a photo of the progress. Is just absolutely amazing, and congratulations, you won this wonderful prize, and thank you so much again, Suzanne, for being so generous and donating this prize to me. The next prize, it's a wonderful pattern prize that is wonderfully and so generously donated by a gorgeous designer, Betty Chen, and you can find her on Instagram. I'm checking because I want to be sure, with Betty Chen Creates. She so generously decided to donate two of her own design pattern, gorgeous patterns, and the winner is Andy's Fun with Fibers. Once again, Andy's Fun with Fibers, all together on Instagram. I'm sure you have a name, Andy, but yeah, I only have your Instagram handle, so please reach out to me. I will ask your email address, I think, and then we can organize the delivery of the patterns. And once again, thank you so much for the generosity. Now, disclaimer, I will never contact any of you here on YouTube on your email address or on Instagram for the prizes, asking for your name, address, details, anything. That is scam. If you want the prizes, so I just mentioned you, please contact me. Send me a message on Instagram or an email at irishfarmart@gmail.com. I know there are a lot of scammers around, but I really wanted to go ahead with this KAL, and I received so many beautiful prizes that, yeah, I didn't want to stop because of the scammers. So be careful. Don't share any information if they are solicited. I'm not contacting you. You will need to contact me. I think we spoke for about an hour and a half. I'm so thirsty and tired. I'll go back to my tea that must be cold by now, and I will see you in a few weeks. Thank you so much again. Bye bye.